If you resent people who have wealth, wealth will never come to you because then you're going to be resenting yourself and you're working against yourself. I've been going to therapy for the past maybe 2 months. And something that my therapist said, focus on the end goal, focus on what you want to achieve. Because when you focus on the negative, on the things that you don't want to achieve, you're going to inadvertently move towards that thing. I am reporting on these things, reporting on these incredible returns, 100% return, 200% return, IPOs closing in 5 minutes. And I'm reporting on these things, but I'm not participating in these things. What are these people doing that I need to do, that I need to learn?
In my field, I know creatives go through it a lot. You know you're creative, your work speaks for itself, but a lot of times there are just moments where you're like, I'm not supposed to be in this room. I don't know why people are looking at me as if I know what I'm doing and I'm not even supposed to be here.
When you do get in the rooms, you will realize that nobody really smarter than you.
What do you think is the biggest myth about investing?
That is for wealthy people. That the people who invest have money to invest, and they have money because they're already rich. I think that's the truth people don't want to hear, that things take time. Anything real takes time. When I tell them invest time in learning the skills, they don't want to do it because they want the quick return. So you would rather give a scammer $1,000 than give me $150 to show you how to make this money the right way and set you up for the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life. You'd rather give a scammer $1,000 pretending to be me because they promised to give you back double your money in 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, idiot. Hi.
How are you?
I'm quite good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. You're looking good. I was telling us I love you too. We're trying to figure out if it's lime green or
yellow. It's like a highlighter yellow, somewhere in between.
Cute. So how would you describe what you do to your friends?
Oh, that's a tough one. People always ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, where do I start? What do I say? Am I an entrepreneur? Am I still a journalist? Yeah, I guess I identify most as a journalist because I've been one for so long, but it's evolved like far beyond that now. So entrepreneur, content creator, financial educator, there's so many things in there.
What's one thing people assume about your journey that's not true?
Whoa, you come with the deep questions
that.
quick. One thing people assume about my journey. Well, they see me in this nice suit and they say, oh, she rich, she got money long time. Like maybe I was born into money or just always had money. But no, it has been and still is quite the journey. I still haven't made it yet. I'm still not wealthy yet. I'm on my way there. I'm a lot better off than I was 5 years ago and 10 years ago for sure. And I now understand the steps that need to be taken to get where I want to be, but I'm not there yet. So don't look at me and say, oh, she has it all, because I absolutely don't.
So take me back to 10 years ago. Who was Kalilah then?
10 years ago, what year was that? We're in
That's a good
2025, so
question.
2015.
2015.
2015, I was 32 years old. I would have been, I think I had just started working at Nationwide.
Oh, wow.
Started Nationwide in 2014.
Wow.
So it was quite the transition because Nationwide is a very tough place to work when you just start there. Everybody who starts working at NNN says, I'm not smart enough to work here. Those first 6 months, you feel like a complete idiot. You feel so dumb because everybody around you seems to know everything about everything. And you're coming in just trying to learn the ropes. I call it NNN University for sure. And I've worked at pretty much every media house in Jamaica. I've worked at CVM, I've worked at RJR Group, I've worked at Sportsmax / Scene TV.
Wow.
I've worked, all over the place. And this one was just like, dash way, throw you into the water and sink or swim. It really was a steep learning curve. And right around that time is when I started gravitating towards business journalism. Because I've done all kinds of journalism. I started out just as a regular journalist. I started out actually because I wanted to become a writer. I studied journalism because I had a keen interest in social issues, but I also liked to write. I imagined myself as the great Caribbean novelist, uh, but that don't really pay the bills. I needed a job. I needed
A
a career
job.
path, and journalism stuck out. And so I've done hurricanes, politics, crime, you name it, all types. But around 10 years ago is when I really started delving into business journalism, into the finance side, and started opening my eyes towards what wealth really is as well.
Hmm. What would you say was maybe a turning point, or what opened your eyes for you to be like, I want to learn more about, finance or business? What about, was it probably like working at Nationwide or people that you'd have interacted with? What kind of made that spark for
It
you?
was seeing people make a whole lot of money.
Mm.
And I wasn't. And I wanted to make a whole lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a business reporter, or as the reporter who was focusing more on business,
Mm-hmm.
around that time, 2015 was one of the years that Jamaica was the top performing stock exchange in the
I
world.
remember
And
that.
2018 was the other year. And
Mm-hmm.
so between this time, I am reporting on these things,
Mm-hmm.
reporting on these incredible returns,
Mm-hmm.
100% return, 200% return,
Yeah.
IPOs closing in 5 minutes. And I'm
Yeah.
reporting on these things, but I'm not participating in these
Mm.
things. And I'm like, why am I not participating in these things?
Yeah.
What are these people doing that I need to do, that I need
Mm-hmm.
to learn? And so that became, just the transition that Jamaica was going through as a country,
Mm-hmm.
and which led to the developments on the stock market,
Mm-hmm.
kind of became a turning point for me too.
Mm. What would you say was the biggest early challenge that you faced building your platform? How did you go from just a little business reporter at NNN, for example, to Kalilah Reynolds? How did what was a big challenge that you think you faced building your own personal brand slash platform?
One, so there's credibility is an issue
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have any degree
Mm-hmm.
in finance. My
Yeah.
degree and all my
Exactly. The whole,
experience, my degrees and all my experience have been in journalism and
yeah.
communications and on writing and stuff. But my
Mm-hmm.
background has not been finance, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that has been self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did suffer from some imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to tell people X, Y, and
Mm-hmm.
Z when I'm not a certified financial planner,
Advisor.
CPA,
Yeah.
whatever? I don't have the economics degree or the
Mm-hmm.
finance degrees. So imposter syndrome, getting over that was, one of the big challenges, I would
Mm-hmm.
say.
What an encouragement you would give to somebody who is in a similar position. I mean, in my field, I know creatives go through it a lot. You know you're creative, your work speaks for itself, but a lot of times there are just moments where you're like, I'm not supposed to be in this room. I don't know why people are looking at me as if I know what I'm doing and I'm not even supposed to be here. What's an encouragement that I think you'd give to somebody? Something that took you through that.
When you do get in the room, you will realize that nobody no really smarter than you.
Mm.
I heard Obama say it one time too, and I related so much to that. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you do get in the rooms, these rooms that you imagined,
Mm-hmm.
everybody is so bright and everybody is so
Mm-hmm. And that's not the
amazing.
case.
And you get there and you realize, but I knew that.
Mm.
They say something, I'm like, but I knew that.
Mm.
Actually, I know more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have said it a little bit differently. And
Mm-hmm.
then you start realizing, okay, I do belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And also just admitting when you don't know and
Mm.
asking the questions. A lot of people are afraid to ask questions because they feel like everybody's going to look at them as dumb.
Mm-hmm.
As a journalist, my job is to ask
Questions.
questions,
Fair.
even the ones that might make people think I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
or might make people think I am quote unquote dumb or don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do, and I just ask it for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But many times I ask the question that seems obvious because somebody goes up there and they're talking and talking and talking and talking, make a whole hour long presentation,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody has a clue
What you're
what
talking.
this person is
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So me now come, I raise my hand. First question, what does XYZ mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which was the whole topic of their presentation. They never
Mm-hmm.
explained what that meant. And at the end of it, afterwards, people will pull me aside and say, I'm so glad you asked that because I had no clue what this person was talking about. And the whole
Aw.
while you were in there thinking you're the only person in the
Person
room who
thing,
doesn't
yeah.
know, turns out vast
Mm-hmm.
majority of people don't know. And that's how I approach my style of content as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do interviews and stuff, I always assume that if I don't know, chances are most people don't know. And so I'm going to ask.
I appreciate that. Your content is very easy to digest. It finance and investing, it seems like such, and it can feel so intimidating and like it's so unattainable. But I really appreciate, and millions of people I'm sure, how you've used your platform to just break down these things for us to kind of put it into layman terms in a way that people in these rooms wouldn't take the time out to do.
Right.
So I think another question I have for you is,
Because I started from me. When I
Hmm,
first started, I was asking the questions for me because I wanted to
to
know,
know, yeah.
how this is happening, how people are making this money. What do these things mean? I was asking the questions literally for myself.
Mhm.
And because I wanted to know, I figured other people
People,
want to know. And I still do that. I still take that approach. If there's something that needs to be communicated and I feel like it hasn't been communicated effectively, I'm going to ask the questions and I'm going to break it down. I tell my team as well when they're writing stuff for me, I'm like, what does that mean? If you can't explain it, ask the questions until you can get it to a point where you can explain it to my 6-year-old.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So was that the birth of Money Media?
Yeah, it was.
Walk me through that. When what was that turning point where it was just like, okay, I'm gonna make this into a business. I'm gonna actually build my own platform and break down finance, how to invest, how to build financial freedom for other people.
It didn't start as something intentional. It was overflow. So like I said, I've been a journalist for a long time. I was working at NNN at the time, 2018 thereabouts, and stuff is happening. Stuff is moving. IPOs are dropping.
Yeah.
With Cinco IPO, huge one, followed by Fontana
Yeah.
IPO, another huge one. And people want to know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know. I wanted in on this.
Mhm.
And my audience wanted to know. But in mainstream media, finance doesn't get a whole lot of coverage because you have to compete with crime and politics and sports and them thing that always a keep, right? There's always something festive going on in those three areas in particular.
Yeah.
And then the finance, the business news is when you change the channel, when you kind of tune out. Yeah, so my stories weren't really getting the coverage that I thought they deserved. Because when you have a Fontana IPO, right, and they say in their prospectus that they're going to build Waterloo, because Waterloo wasn't built yet,
Yeah.
and now it's the flagship. It is
For
the
sure.
everything. They now have Fenty and all of that. They say that they're gonna build Waterloo with this IPO money. IPO closes in 5 minutes. It, however many times, 3 times, 5 times oversubscribed. Within a few months, the stock price triples.
Wow.
That's big news in my world. That means a lot of people are making a lot of money. That
Money.
means this big development is gonna go up. But in a main news, they're not really seeing the importance of that. And that story is getting 2 sentences, 3 sentences, maybe 30
That's true.
seconds,
That's true.
30 seconds in the news. And there's so much more that I wanted to talk about.
Because to me, this is exciting. And so I took that overflow, all those excess things to social media. And that's kind of how that started.
This episode is brought to you by iPrint Jamaica, the team behind the digital billboards you just can't miss. Built on trust, powered by innovation. Want to launch something bold? Hit the link in our description and let them bring your campaign to life. The Coined Insights podcast is produced by Koined Digital, our in-house team of creatives, strategists, and storytellers. We don't just create content, we build brand ecosystems, podcasts, and campaigns that drive real engagement. If you want to produce something like this, or better, tap the link in the description to book a discovery call, and let's build something together. A quick shout out to our podcast sponsor, Rock Hotel Kingston, where creators and professionals meet style, comfort, and city views that keep the ideas flowing. If you're planning your next shoot, event, or just want a place to feel inspired, Rock is it. Book your next reservation online. Take a second to subscribe and share this episode with someone who's ready to level up. It helps more than you know and lets the algorithm know that these conversations matter to you. So take me back a bit more, because you're not even Jamaican. I just found that out like last year. How did you get here?
So I'm from Belize, born and raised in Belize. A lot of people think I am Jamaican because I've lived here 17 years now.
Wow.
2008 is when I moved here. Originally to go to school at UWI. So I did my master's at UWI. And during that time, I met a guy. His name is Richard Reynolds. And he refused to send me back. So the rest is history. And now my name is Kalilah Reynolds.
I love that synopsis. Thank you. Thank you. So slowly over time, you pretty much just started through your passion, through your just excitement, you just started posting on socials about all these things that you were learning. And what was the initial reception like?
It was immediate.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I started posting, I started getting a lot of comments, a lot of views, a lot of shares. And I said, okay, I'm onto something here. People are craving this information. Clearly, they need this info, and they're not getting it through mainstream traditional
not.
media. It wasn't happening. And so a few months later, I had the idea to do Taking Stock, which is our flagship show now. That's a 1-hour show that airs on YouTube every Tuesday. We're now live. And because I still had all these things I wanted to do, I started with what I call Money Mondays at the time, which was
I
only like
remember that.
only like 5 minutes on Instagram. I'm like, and it was once a week. I'm like, there's still a lot more that I want to say, that I need to explore. I need to talk to the CEOs of these companies that are doing these IPOs and the companies that are already listed. I need to find out, why should we invest in this company?
Exactly.
Why did your company make a profit? Why did your company make a loss? What plans do you have? There's so much more that I wanted to explore. And so I also wanted to hear analysis from the people who are the licensed analysts and the
Exactly.
people who do work at the stockbrokers. And I also wanted competing analysis. So if your company is the one doing the IPO, I don't only want to hear from you. I want to hear from your competitor. What do they think about this opportunity? And so we came up with the idea to do a section called the analysts, who are going to be looking at whatever's happening in the market and giving their perspective on it, and hopefully having competing positions as well, so that we as the audience can get different points of view. And so that show came about. We launched in October of 2019 after doing Instagram content since February was the very first Money Mondays. I was also quite pregnant when we launched. So Ryan was born in February 2020, just before COVID.
Oh.
When we did the launch, I remember I had a big belly, probably like 6 months pregnant at the time. Yeah, that was quite the time, quite the experience.
So Money Mondays into Taking Stock, how did that transform into Money Media?
So when I had the idea for Taking Stock, I knew it was going to be an expensive production.
Fair.
Yeah. And we were filming in person at the time. Ever since COVID, we went virtual.
I remember.
But originally, everything was filmed in person at a studio with, all the equipment. You know how much equipment costs, how much crew production cost is very high. And so I said, if we're going to do this, I need to be able to. It wasn't even necessarily about making money off of it initially, it's to make sure I can pay the production cost.
Yeah.
And I also thought, I want to be able to pay myself, because many times producers come up with great ideas, whatever it is, whatever business it is, and everybody gets paid except the person whose idea it was, the person who is doing all of the work, the person who is finding the guests, booking the crews, writing the script, coming up with the ideas. You're paying everybody except yourself.
That's so true.
And so I said, I'm going to factor my cost into this as well, my intellectual property, my work, my effort, and put a value on that. And that's going to become part of the production cost. That's like you're taking some notes there. And that's kind of how it transformed. So I had to think of it like a business from the beginning. It wasn't like Money Mondays where I could just set up my camera, my phone, and talk to my
There were no
phone
overheads.
for 5 minutes. There are no overheads, right? When you're doing a show like a Taking Stock, you're doing a podcast like this, there are costs involved.
Sure.
And so if there are costs involved, now you have to make sure, how am I going to cover those costs? We're going to need sponsors. We're going to need a way to actually make money to make sure that this show can continue. And so it had to be approached like a business from the very beginning. There was no option.
Thank you. So we're gonna deep dive a bit into investing and wealth. What do you think is the biggest myth about investing?
That is for wealthy people. that the people who invest have money to invest, and they have money because they're already rich. But I always tell people investing is how you get wealthy. It's not only for the wealthy, it's how the wealthy get wealthy and how they preserve their wealth as well. It takes very little to start investing. The vast majority of stocks on the Jamaica Stock Exchange cost less than 100 Jamaican dollars each. Some of them are far less, some of them are cents.
Yeah.
Silver money. Some of them you can't eat, they don't even make the red coins anymore. There are stocks out there in Jamaica that you can buy for silver money and what would have been red coins. And this is where you start. Start with what you have. People feel like, oh, when I save up $1 million, then I'll start. When I save up $100,000, then I'll start. But you just need to start with what you have and build from there. I think that's the biggest misconception, that you have to have a whole heap of money before you can start anything.
So as we were preparing for season 2 of this podcast, we definitely want to dive a bit deeper into finance and investing and stuff like that. And just generally what we want to do here at the Coined Insights podcast is, there's so much information online, especially about investing and finance, but it's all tailored towards North America.
Yep.
So, you follow all the finance gurus and they're like, yeah, man, you just need to invest in your 401k and and put this into the S&P 500.
Do you know your FICO score?
We don't have that. How does that help me? I can do it from here-ish, but I'm going to have to jump through hoops. There is a much higher entry cost to be able to, invest in US stocks out here if you go through, I guess, more traditional methods. So we really appreciate platforms like yours that give financial information and break it down for the regular man. So the regular person working their 9 to 5, the regular higgler on the road selling apples, we can all benefit from this. But it wasn't as attainable when most of the content online isn't tailored towards our realities.
Yeah. I remember years ago when I was in college, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And great book, right?
I think honestly, I feel like everybody has either started that book. Once you're interested in financial freedom, I feel like everyone has at least read a couple pages or a chapter of that book.
It's a great introductory book. But I remember after I finished reading it, I thought, great, but this doesn't apply to me.
This doesn't apply to me.
This doesn't, because in Belize, we don't even have a stock exchange.
Really?
There's no stock exchange in Belize. I'm reading these things, yada, yada. This doesn't apply to me because these things aren't available to me.
Exactly.
And so when I realized in Jamaica, oh, actually, it is available and it's more accessible than I thought, then, okay, here are the ways to do it. But then the information is not there, or the information that is there, I don't understand.
Exactly.
And so I figured I'm going to be the one to bring that information to the people in a way that they can understand. Which brings me to the course, Investing for Beginners, and the book, the workbook, Money Mission workbook, which I'm really excited about because it's taken me like 5 years to finally finish this book, to finally write this book. And it's finally ready, along with the accompanying course, Investing for Beginners. And it takes you through investing from as the name implies, from a beginner standpoint, from somebody who knows absolutely nothing about investing. But it gives you Caribbean examples.
Oh, thank you.
So all the examples are from the Caribbean. When we talk about bonds, right? People say, okay, what about treasury bills? Let's invest treasury bills with the Fed in the US government.
Yeah.
When we think about treasury bills in Jamaica, we have to think about the whole past of JDX and NDX and all them things, that Jamaica Debt Exchange, our program with the IMF, and what Jamaica went through when a lot of people were investing heavily in government paper, as they call it here, and then the government essentially defaulted on those bonds and say, here, we're not going to pay you 20% interest anymore. We'll give you 8%. And we're not going to pay it back in 5 years like we promised. We'll pay it back in 10 years. We have to talk about those realities as well. So in the course and in the workbook, I go through, that entire history, how that has led us to where we are today. What are some of the risks that are still associated with, say, investing with the government or investing in local stocks? Because we are still a high risk society. Even though we're emerging from a difficult period, we're still not investment grade as a country. Jamaica is rated, I think it's double B minus by Standard and Poor's right now. Investment grade is A. So we're still below investment grade as a country. And there's still a risk. There's still things like SSL. And then people still have a lot of fear because they say, well, every time I post something, there's guaranteed somebody's going to comment. Both get back in money yet. Every single post, there is somebody who comments, did Bolt get back his money yet? Every single time. And fair enough, right? It was very unfortunate. It was serious, and I hated that it happened. I hated that we took the reputational blow that we did as a country, and that it set back the investing climate as much as it did as well. But we have to acknowledge what the shortcomings are, what the risks are, what we need to do to protect ourselves, and all of that has to be told as a part of the story.
So that's investing for beginners. That sounds like such a wonderful course. Thank you for putting that together, because I can just imagine what it takes to actually put a course like that together.
Oh my goodness.
How does the workbook factor into that? Is it like walk us through what the workbook kind of looks like? How would it help me, for example? Just a sneak peek.
I wish I had a copy with me right
Just a
now,
sneak
but it's
peek.
designed to work hand in hand with the online course.
Oh, nice.
So you have your online course. There are exercises for you to do, and you can do them in the workbook. So every time I say, take out your workbook, now it's time to do the exercises, you can take out your workbook. But they're also designed to work independently of each other. So if you don't want to buy the workbook and you just want to do the course, you can just get a regular notebook and take your notes. Or if you want to buy the workbook, there are advantages to doing the course as well, because you get it in video format for those who don't like to read. You get additional, online resources and quizzes and interactivity and stuff. But if you're somebody who is heavily a visual learner, somebody who learns just by reading and doing, then you can just do the workbook. So they're complementary products, but you can also use them separately if you want to.
Okay. And what would you say is the first practical step for a beginner to start investing?
So the first step is to understand where you are. A lot of people
Very
want
true.
to jump into it and they have no idea what their goals are. They have no idea what their timelines are, what strategies they're going to use. And they will come to me and they say, Kalilah, what should I invest in? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. I don't know anything about you. First of all, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Please consult your licensed financial advisor before making any investment
For
decisions.
sure. Disclaimer.
But secondly, I don't know anything about you. I don't know why you're investing. I don't know how much money you have to invest. I don't know how risk averse you are
Very
or not. You may be very conservative. You may be willing to risk it all. And then they say, well, okay, fine. Well, just tell me what you invest in. I'm like, no, but you're not listening to me, because suppose I am very open to risk.
Yeah.
I'm a risk taker. I'm gonna bet it all on the next IPO. And suppose I might have a very different time horizon than you.
Yeah.
I'm investing for my kids' college education in 10, 15 years. You want money back tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a very different,
For sure.
those take very different investing strategies. And so you first have to know, what are your goals? What are your timelines? What is your risk tolerance? And we go through this in the course and in the workbook as well. And then you have to know, can I afford this? Meaning, do I have debt? Because if you have high amounts of debt, especially high interest debt like credit card debt, you need to deal with that first. So, and the workbook takes you through that as well. So the workbook actually is designed so that you start with your budget, you start with getting control of your finances, setting your goals. Then we go into managing your debt, and then we get into the investing portion. Because now, after you've got the basics under control, now we can start building wealth. Now we can set the timeline, set the strategy. Do you want to be a value investor? Do you want to be growth investor? Are you looking for income through dividends? What type of investor do you want to be? So we go through all of that. You're going to set your strategy. You are going to make your decisions. At the end of it, you're going to choose your starting five. So you're going to choose the 5 companies that you're going to invest in for the very first time. I'll show you how to do the research. What are the things that you're going to look for? Does this align with your strategy? Does it align with your goals? And now you're going to open your account. You're going to invest in these 5 companies and take it from there.
Wow, that's actually very thorough. So if I'm investing for the first time, right? If I'm investing for the first time in the Jamaica Stock Exchange, for example, how do I get started? Do I have to go to an investment house? Do I need a broker? How do I get started with that?
Yes, so you absolutely need a broker. You cannot do it on your own. Well, once you've opened the account, you can kind of do it on your own, but you do need to have a brokerage account first. So you need to open an account with one of the licensed brokers. I'm an affiliate for JMMB, so link me. I'll send you my affiliate link. But the beauty about them is that you can open the account completely online.
Oh, I love that.
And you can do your trades online, and everything is completely virtual. So I really like them for that. They're also Jamaica's largest stockbroker. So they usually have all the IPOs. Yeah, by far. Retail stockbroker. So they usually have, all the latest offers as well. But yes, you need to open an investment account. Once you get what they call the JCSD number, Jamaica Central Securities Depository number, from there you can enter that into the trading platforms like JTrader Pro, and you can, take it on your own from there if you want to. But the first step, yes, is to open the investment account. And the second step is take Investing for Beginners or complete the workbook so that you understand your investing goals, timelines, risk, and strategies. And then you start buying companies, becoming an investor.
That sounds great.
And then also taking it with a long-term mindset.
For sure.
So don't jump into it thinking I'm just going to flip some money and get back my money tomorrow, especially not in the current climate. 5 years ago, you could have done that. And a lot of people were doing that. People were flipping IPOs. They would buy into this IPO, and then by the time it lists, the price doubled, and then they sell and they get back their money quickly. It was a very hot strategy, but Jamaica is not there right now. We're still in a down market. Things are improving, but you're not going to make your money back that quickly. But what I want people to focus on is the long term, because when you look at over even the past 10 years, our stock market has still delivered fantastic returns.
For sure.
I can't remember the number right now, but I'm sure it's over 200% in the past 10 years.
Wow.
Even with COVID, even with SSL, even with all the negative things that have happened in the past 5 years, we're still up more than double.
Wow, that's actually very interesting. What would you say is a smart investment that changed your life? It doesn't have to be financial. It can be. But what would you say is a smart investment that changed your life?
My family.
Cut the camera.
Marrying the right person.
Mm.
Because marrying the wrong person or being with the wrong person
sure.
can ruin you financially.
For sure. For sure.
Can absolutely ruin you financially. I think marriage is something that we don't talk about enough today, because a lot of women have, and listen, it's fine if this is your choice, right? But a lot of women have delayed marriage for several reasons. One, we're pursuing higher education, so we don't want to get married as young as our parents did, maybe our grandparents did. We are not just going to settle for any guy as well. So we just don't want to be a wife for the sake of being a wife.
For sure.
And so when I think about my parents, right? My grandmother got married at 17.
Wow.
My mother got married at 19. I got married at 32.
Wow.
A lot of my friends now in our 40s still aren't married. I don't know if they ever will be or if they even want to. But when you think about the financial benefits of being in a committed, stable relationship that is bound by the legal contract of marriage, it makes a huge difference in what you can achieve as a person. Because there was a time when I was feeling like a failure because I'm comparing myself to what my parents achieved at the same age, not realizing that my parents achieved this by combining their resources through marriage. So they got married young, they bought a house together. How come I don't have no house? I'm trying to do it on my own. as a single parent on top of that,
Yeah.
with a father who wasn't contributing financially to the situation, whereas they've built something together.
Yeah.
And so finding that security and that person that you're willing to build with and that you can do it together, you can combine two incomes are better than one, especially in today's economy. It's something that we don't talk about enough. I feel like marriage rates have been declining. And that's not just a feeling, that's a fact. Marriage rates have been declining for several reasons. And I wish that there was a more concerted effort to promote marriage for family's sake, for stability's sake, but also for financial sake, because it makes a difference in how in what you're able to achieve as a couple.
That's true. What is one belief about money that you no longer hold?
I no longer envy wealthy people, and I no longer hate wealthy people.
Okay.
Because
Talk to me about
there's a
that.
deep set, not hate, but resentment. Like, look at them, they're driving their fancy this and that, and feeling like something has to be wrong. Like, how did they get those things? And, having all the negative thoughts. And it's just, all it is bad mind. It's just bad mind. So
Bad man disguise.
when you start pursuing wealth, you have to let go of those negative thoughts that you hold about people with wealth. Because you want to be one of those people. And if you think those things about those people, then how are you going to be one of those people? If you resent the people who have wealth, wealth will never come to you, because then you're going to be resenting yourself and you're working against yourself. So I've been going to therapy for the past maybe 2 months. And something that my therapist said really struck a chord with me. She said, focus on the end goal. Focus on what you want to achieve. Because when you focus on the negative, on the things that you don't want to achieve, you're going to inadvertently move towards that thing. Even subconsciously, even though
You
you
drift towards what
say,
your eyes are on.
even though you say, this is what I want, but if this is what I'm constantly thinking about, the fear. So I say, okay, I want wealth, but I'm constantly thinking about being afraid of losing all my money. So I want this, but because that's what I'm thinking about, that's where I end up inadvertently. So she said, don't think about that. Don't focus on that. And it's natural to have your fears and to have, those feelings. But when you find yourself having them, redirect your attention over here. Think about what it is that you want. Think like a winner. She has me listening to winning playlists, to winning music. Think like a winner. Focus on the thing that you want. Don't focus on the thing that you don't want.
That's good. That's a great gem. What is a hard truth about building with wealth that you think people aren't ready to hear?
The long term, I think we discussed it already, that it is not overnight. And this is the thing. People feel like, okay, you know how many DMs I get from people who said that they gave me money.
I'm sorry?
Wait, hold on. Yeah. People said I don't get it as much as last year. Last year it was all over the place.
Remember that you had to put out a post.
People say they gave me money. I met a guy at AC Hotel one day and he said, "Oh, I was just chatting with you."
Me?
I'm like, "No, you weren't." And people
Awkward.
have been scammed by other people impersonating me, right? And they've given these people money. I got some screenshots from another person who said he sent this person $1,000 US. $1,000 US. And they will, because the person promised to give them back double within 5 days. I'm like, why are people still falling for these scams? But when I tell them take the course, which is $150, they don't want to do it. When I tell them invest the time in learning the skills, they don't want to do it because they want the quick return. So you would rather give a scammer $1,000 than give me $150 to show you how to make this money the right way and set you up for the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life. You would rather give a scammer $1,000 who's pretending to be me because they promised to give you back double your
I'm a
money in
double it.
5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, idiot.
Real.
So I think that's the truth people don't want to hear, that things take time. Anything real takes time. If you want to be a serious investor, think about what investing in the stock market entails. You're investing in companies. And if you're investing in the Jamaica stock market, you're investing in Jamaican companies. Jamaican companies don't grow overnight. No company grows overnight.
Yeah.
It takes time for a company to grow. For a company to grow their profit, for Fontana to build Waterloo and to get the contracts that they've had, and now building Portmore and expanding island-wide, becoming a household name.
Yeah.
Pre-IPO, they weren't really a household name. Think about that. When did they open Barbican? Probably like 10 years ago.
Maybe.
Before that, they were just in Mandeville.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago.
Oh.
But
Wow.
think about the growth of that
Yeah,
brand
for
in the
sure.
past 10 years. It has been tremendous. Look what they've achieved. But that stuff doesn't happen overnight. So you're not going to get your return tomorrow. You're not going to get your return even in 6 months. You're not going to get the return that you want even in a year, because the companies take time to grow. You're investing in this company. They're putting that money to work to build the company, to grow the company. You're going to start seeing your significant returns in 5, 10 years. So you have to have patience. And that's the message that people don't want to hear. People want it now.
No. Yeah, I think that's just something that's just in conversations now, where because we're just so used to having everything instantly. So you want something now, you order it, and even just the concept of not even wanting to wait on shipping. I mean, if I'm ordering something online, to be so honest, and Amazon Prime has just kind of spoiled, not a paid ad. Amazon Prime just has kind of spoiled me, because now I'm ordering something online and I'm like, but it's gonna take more than 2 days to get to me. Like, do I even need it? And it's crazy because we just kind of live in this world of instant. But you're right, companies aren't built overnight, careers aren't built overnight. Nothing worth having happens overnight, essentially. I think what people see is when the success happens and it feels overnight, it seems overnight, but they weren't privy to when that seedling was just underground growing. You know, they kind of just see the tree and they're like, yeah, man, that's what I want and I want it now. And especially because, you know, we're just so used to everybody on social media just posting up their cars and just this lifestyle that we don't know what's behind that. But this need for, I need money and I need to be wealthy now, it has clouded the judgment of so many. So it's good to hear that. It's good to hear you say that and to kind of bring that to the attention of people. But it's not overnight. In this case, if it's too good to be true, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yep.
So what
And
is
the scammers are out.
No, they're out. The
The
scammers,
scammers
are
are
out.
crazy.
They're gonna scam you and they're gonna speed past you in them jail. Let's be
People, I don't know.
honest.
I don't understand how people are so fooled though, because like the person will claim that they're me, right? And they get a WhatsApp number and they're WhatsApping with this person, and you look at this number, it's not even a Jamaican
It's like
number.
Nigeria.
It's not even a Jamaican number, and you're convinced you're talking to me. I'm talking to you from Nigeria. Come on now, have some sense.
What is one small step someone overwhelmed with money should take today?
Ooh, a small
It's a
step
small
somebody
step.
overwhelmed with money should take today is looking at their money. Take a look at it first.
Yeah.
So I find that when I get overwhelmed with money, I don't want to look at my money. I don't want to open that bank account because I'm depressed.
That's real. That's real.
I don't want to face it. I don't want to face what the reality is. But the small step is to face that reality and then take a hold of what exactly it is that you have and then start making a plan to change that reality. But the first step is to just look at it, to take a look at it and face it. 'Cause usually we don't want to look, and then that keeps us back, and then we're there at at the point of sale machine at the supermarket,
Yeah, just like
hoping it passes, hoping it doesn't
true.
get. Like, I think I have enough.
I think I have an idea.
I, I
Yeah, it's
think
not supposed to pass this.
I think it's gonna go through, and you hold your breath, and okay, it did go through. I wonder how much I have left now. I'm not sure, but I still don't want to look. But you have to confront what the situation is. I think that's the small step. Just open the account, look at what's there, and then start making a plan from there.
Okay. So thank you so much for sharing. So I'm gonna go into some quick fire questions. So it's just very rapid. Just tell me just what comes to mind. So biggest money mistake.
Mine?
Yes.
Getting into large credit card debt.
That's real. That's real.
Overspending on my credit card. Oh yeah.
Where do you think most people go wrong with credit cards? Like, what's that point? Is it that we
Minimum payment.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what they do, and I talk about this in Money Mission as well,
Yes.
and in the workbook. I told the story of how I got into debt. So this is what they do. They will tell you, you don't have to pay us back everything right
Yeah.
now. Just
We're
make the
we're
minimum
cool.
payment. But when you really look at it, the
Mhm.
minimum payment, when you look at what the interest charge on that statement is and what the
Mhm.
minimum payment is, your interest is bigger than your minimum payment. Which means that if your interest charge was $10,000 and your minimum payment is $8,000, then all 8,000 is going back towards the interest only. And you still have two extra thousand of interest that you haven't paid, and you haven't started paying the principal yet.
Yeah.
So while you're making a payment, you're making payments toward this credit card, your balance is never going down. Your balance is always going up because you still owe the full principal and you've only been paying off a portion of the interest. So you owe the full principal and you still have extra interest to pay every single month when you make under that minimum payment. And so people get into trouble with credit cards because the other issue is that it's a revolving type of debt. It never ends. It just goes and goes and goes for months and months, month after month, year after year. Unlike a traditional loan, you know you're taking this loan and in 5 years you're going to pay
Yeah. X
60
amount of money.
60,000 a month for 5 years. After 5 years, the
You're
loan
good.
close off. Credit cards, this month you pay 8,000, next month you pay 20,000. You pay what you feel like paying. It's up to you to make the payment, and there's no end date in sight. It just continues to revolve unless you take control of how you approach it. And we talk about that in module 2, mission 2, debt do over in the workbook.
Well, just give me a small snippet into someone is in deep credit card debt. How did they get out? What's the first step, I should say? What should they do first?
Yeah, look at it.
Look at the
Once
money.
again, look at what you owe. Look at those payments, and you need to work out what I call your real minimum payment has to be for you to make a dent in your principal, not just your interest. So definitely you need to stop paying just the minimum. People have multiple credit cards sometimes. You need to make a plan to get out of that, but you can't just keep winging it. You
For
have to
sure.
face the reality and make a plan, because without a plan, you go nowhere.
That's so true. What is a splurge that you don't regret?
Travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, experiences. I will spend on experiences.
Never regret it. Yeah.
I will spend on experiences all the time, especially with my family, to give them those experiences, those things that they will remember forever. Oh yeah, I will splurge on that.
What's one money habit that you swear by?
That I swear by. Well, investing is like the easiest
Easiest
one,
one.
right? It's the most obvious one. But yeah, I would say that because it really changed my life when I started investing and thinking not just like a consumer, but now an owner.
So on that note, I'll ask you what's a mindset shift that changed everything for you?
Buy the company.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the company, not just the product. If you're a fan of a particular brand, find out who owns it and if they're listed and if you can become an owner. Because as an owner and as a user, that puts you in a great position to know what the company is doing. You're probably on their newsletter. You probably get their emails
know
all the
all
time.
of-
You know
yeah.
everything that this company is doing. Why not become an owner in that company?
Okay, what's one piece of success advice that you disagree with?
There is a lot.
Ooh, give me top three. Top three.
There is a lot. Saving and working. I'll give you two.
Ooh.
You can never save your way to wealth,
Mm.
and you can never work your way to wealth.
Mm.
So people think I just need to work more and I just need to save more. And growing up, these are the lessons that I heard because my parents are middle class. My dad was a public servant for a large part of his career. My mom was a career educator. She's a teacher, primary school teacher, and she became principal. And the lessons I learned from my parents are work hard and save.
For sure.
Work hard and save, and you'll be all right in life. And then you buy a house like we did, right? And by the time I was in my mid-30s, I realized that's not the formula. Work hard and save is not enough because how many people do you know who are very frugal, cheap, always scrimping and saving, but they're still broke?
Yeah.
How many people do you know who work very hard, 2, 3 jobs, always working, but they're still poor? So clearly, you can't just work your way to wealth and you can't just save your way to wealth, which is the traditional advice that we get, that we need to save our money, save your money, put it away for a rainy day. And then I realized that is not enough. Work hard and save is not enough. We need to multiply, not just add. Because if we're saving, we're only adding. We're adding. So I save $10 today and $10 tomorrow. Now I have $20. But I need that $10 to be $100.
For sure.
So we need, in order for that to happen, we need to multiply. Or we think, I just need to work harder, or I just need to work more. But in order for us to pursue real wealth, we don't need to work more. We need our money to work more.
Yeah.
So you take the money that you work for and that you have saved, and now you invest it. So we've only learned the first 2 parts of the equation, work hard and save. I'm not saying don't do that. You still need that. You still need to get the money from somewhere.
For sure.
And you need to accumulate the money in order to invest. But then you need the third part, which is the investing. So work hard plus save times investing or times ownership. So you need to start owning assets that are going to rise in value over time and start making you money that you don't have to work for. Because when you tie your earnings or when you tie your income to the work that you do, you are limited in what you can earn because there are only so many hours in a day.
For sure.
But when you multiply that by ownership, you're not tied, your income isn't tied to the amount of hours that you can work.
Sure.
So that was a big mindset change. I don't remember what the question was that you asked, but somehow it ties into that. Oh, the misconception.
Yes, there's one piece of success advice that you disagree with.
Yeah,
Just
work
give me
hard
top
and
three.
just work hard and save. No, that is bull. It takes more than that.
Okay. You still want to give me other two? Because we said top three.
Oh, I'll leave it at
No,
2.
you leave it at
Yeah.
You leave it at 2. Okay. All right. So what are you wrapping up? What are you most excited about right now? I know it's probably your workbook. When is it launching? Where can we get it? How can we get it? How can we access your investment course?
I'm actually most excited about moving into our new house.
Aww.
Finally. Which we were able to purchase after years of investing.
Aww.
So we always thought that, and remember I told you a story about how, my parents bought their first
Yes.
house young and they were able to combine resources, and I always felt like a failure because I couldn't buy this house. And now we finally bought the house through, combining resources with a spouse, investing and so on. And now we're finally about to move into the house and next month. And so that's the thing I'm most excited about
Aw.
personally. I think that's
love
a
that.
huge achievement. And then of course, at the same time, I'm launching this workbook, relaunching Investing for Beginners. Everything is at moneymissionja.com, by the way. But it is years of work that have come to this point. So years of people saying, I want a product like this, and me kind of procrastinating or just not getting it done or putting bits and pieces out there. Now it's all together as a whole. And I'm really excited for people to start changing their financial future, changing their money story. Because many of us have money stories of want and money stories of negativity, of the things that we grew up hearing about money, or we grew up with lack, a lack of, and always wanting and not having enough, and scarcity. And now you're in a position to use this resource to shape your financial future and change your financial future. And I'm really excited about meeting the people whose lives this is going to change.
Aw, so sweet. Thank you so much, Kalilah. Could you just share with our audience really quick where they can find you on Instagram or on YouTube? I know you shared the website.
Everywhere at Kalilah Ray, KALILAHREY. And you can check out the website moneymissionja.com.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. It was such a fruitful conversation. I know I learned a lot, and I'm
You're
hoping that
welcome.
our
Thank you
audience
for
will.
having me.
You're welcome.